If you could live green, would you? I'm Nick Federoff, host of Things Green, where we introduce nuggets of green lifestyle from gardening, upcycling, answering your questions, sustainability, even discussing environmental issues. You can become more confident in making the right decisions for you and your family. So come along as we are Things Green. Okay, so it just amazes me that you do things that defy gravity. These are citrus trees. These are full-grown standard citrus trees. None of these are dwarfs, and you treat them like they're espaliers. Mm-hmm. What's the method behind that madness?
Well, we have a small space. And it's actually light challenged as well, as you can see with my workshop here. Yeah. So I'm getting maybe 3 or 4 hours of sunlight and some warmth through here every day. So I don't have a lot of space. I don't have a lot of sunny areas because of all the trees. So I had to make room for these amazing guys. And that's, espaliering is the only way. So I keep cutting off the branches that fall out this way. I keep tying them up against the trellis lines.
I saw one time when I was in Holland, I saw a pear tree that was, yeah, that's why I mentioned that. That's what you're looking at, by the way, is pear trees right now. And they were fruiting pear trees, and the trunks on them were like, well, maybe 10 feet tall, 8 feet tall at least. And then they had them espaliate on these just flat-looking devices, metal, and it was just like, wow, you could do that to a tree. So you're doing all those things. Of course, this is encroaching in from the neighbors.
Yeah.
They got to be careful about that.
That's the star jasmine. Yeah.
But here we're coming into a tunnel, and we have a tunnel of citrus. And what fascinates me about these plants right here in particular is that they're not young plants.
No.
How old are they?
These lemon trees and gardenias are 60 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Almost as old as me.
Yeah.
You must have been a baby when you planted them.
Yeah. I was not born when these were planted, actually. But the interesting thing about these guys is that probably about 4 years ago, we had a horticulturist, not you, unfortunately, and we had an arborist come and tell us that these trees were suffering from greening. They were too old. Their lifespan is, I think, I want to say, 35 years? Something
about 30 to 35.
So they said, you need to tear these out and start over again. And my parents had planted these, so I didn't want to do that. So we started, exploring different ways to water, started fertilizing, started introducing compost, and you can see that we're in good shape.
Yeah, no kidding. This amazes me. I have always seen this thing with lemons on it. I've never not seen it with lemons on it. Yeah. What really tickles my fancy is you could tell that this is just old growth. To have it this dark like this, you normally don't see that. In fact, if we just walked by the citrus a couple seconds ago, those are nowhere near as, I want to say established, because I get maybe that's what it is, but boy, talk about having a heartbeat for these things, and they just keep on going. And they're right up against the house. Did your father espalier these too?
Yes, and actually over the years, they've gotten a little bit out of control. Some of the ties broke and they've pushed out a little bit, but they are, they could be tied back some, cut on the back and tied back up, but they're not bothering anybody, and they're doing so well, and they're older. So I want to treat them with respect.
Gotta be gentle with them because you just never know what's
That's
gonna
right.
happen.
I respect the elderly.
Okay, so speaking of elderly, are these elderly as well, or are these newer?
The nectarine is newer. The kumquat is actually a replacement, so he's maybe 10 years old.
Okay.
The orange tree is about 55 years old.
No.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And if you look at that trunk, it doesn't look like it.
No.
It looks like it's a younger tree.
Yep. And so he's definitely got some issues. We did a foliar feeding on him. We've been continuing to feed him and prune him.
Okay. So when you have issues like this, we either say that it could be chlorotic, or it could be, in other words, it needs nitrogen in it. It could be iron. That could be a problem with it. And then it also could be a minor nutrient called manganese. Manganese will also do this. In fact, manganese, there's a manganese. Manganese.
Yeah.
Manganese?
Manganese.
Yeah. Am I saying that right? And anyway, that helps with iron and nitrogen in order to put the greenage in there. So sometimes we think all we got to do, just throw some urea in there. Don't put urea on these, by the way. It's too much, and it'll end up burning them. But if you start putting a fertilizer on here, I would suggest that whatever the fertilizer is, that it has the minor nutrients. See, plants only need 13 essential elements in order for them to live. The three big ones, of course, are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. But there's manganese. There's cobalt. There's just a whole bunch of different things. But they need them in minute amounts. But they are very important for bringing energy into and helping out the major nutrients as well. So kind of think about that next time you start fertilizing.
So question for you. I have been starting to use fish hydrolysate.
Hydrolysate?
Hydrolysate, yeah, that.
Yeah.
That thing.
Yeah, that's an organic material.
Okay.
And being an organic material, it will have that. But when you're talking about organic materials, we're not talking about a quick fix. It is a slow, laborious effort. But at 60 years old, it's not going to care.
Yeah.
Yeah, use that, but be consistent at it. Okay. Once a month. If you're going to use a fish hydrolysate, use it once a month. Don't go missing, because if you start missing it, then it takes too long for it to build up back into the system. So the consistency is very important. It's kind of like taking vitamins. Yeah, you want to take the vitamins not all the time, but every day you want to take vitamins. But that's super, super important. So, and you can do that for all the trees, by the way. You got a little curly leaf going on over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So these right here are looking real good. Super, super nice. I like that. Nectarines. Okay. And then this right here is a kumquat?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's got new fruit.
Yeah. Let's see.
He was just, we did a foliar feeding on him about a month ago.
May I?
So he's looking a lot better.
May I?
Yeah, please.
All right, we're going to see this.
Actually, you want this instead.
Oh, look at that one. That's the big one. Okay, so here's the dealio on this right here. He just picked it. He can eat it right off the vine. It's not even the vine, it's a tree. Right off the tree, just like this. We're talking peeling and all. Look at that. That's good. That's really good.
And why can we eat it right off the tree? Because
it's all organic.
Yeah, we're not using any pesticides, and you can see a little because we have flies, but we're not using any pesticides. We're not using any harsh chemicals. We use compost, fish, hydrolysate, yeah, that stuff, and a couple other organic things.
Great. You make marmalade out of it, or just eat it like this?
Actually had a friend who made, what did she make? She made like almost a kumquat cheesecake.
Really?
It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah, really good.
I need friends like that. Okay, apple tree. Look at this thing.
Fiji apple.
I love it. Look how beautiful these are. Nearly not ready yet. We still have some time.
So what's funny about this tree, Nick, I think you remember me telling you that I wanted to top it because it had some crazy growth. We pruned it pretty heavily last summer, And I was going to top it, but now look at the fruit.
There's all on top.
You're
you're gonna need some long arms, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're ready, I'll give you.
You'll give me a
I'll give you a boost. Yeah. So what I like about this is that people always ask me about grafted trees and the importance of having grafted. You saw me spitting out the seeds over there. Those aren't going to grow into trees, and if they do grow into a tree, it's possible. Grow into a tree, it's not going to be. It probably won't produce anything for you. So what we need to have a stalk and a scion, a root stalk, and the scion is the fruiting part, and you graft them together. Well, that goes for all of our apples, especially anything that's in the fruit tree. If we look at that nectarine tree, we'll be able to see it, and we'll be able to see it right here to where. That right there, see that big old thing? That looks like it's the graft area, is it? It's hard for me to tell. You have that. You'll have them on all these things. Here's a better one. Here's a better one right here. So, suckers are really important to take off of a plant. So if you see this right here is the root stalk. Look how different it is. It's big, it's beefy. This right here is the scion. So when this was a baby plant, they went and they married these two together. And then this right here is a sucker, so we're just going to take that off. And you have the two like this, and then the roots and the energies are in here is very aggressive, and it's going to take off, and it's going to support the rest of this. And I can guarantee you that even these 60-year-old trees, they're that way too. That's just not by chance. Now, the one thing that's not like that, what else do we have over here? Let's go over here first.
So we have another orange tree.
Yes.
This is not a navel like the other one. It's just, I'm not even sure the variety because it is also 60 years old.
Oh, yeah, well, here we go.
Yeah.
You see that? That's the rootstock, and that's the scion. Even after 60 years old, you could tell that. Now, obviously, do these work for you?
They work great.
They stink, don't they?
Yeah, they're terrible. It's like a dead body in the garden. Yeah. Yep.
They are horrible.
And I come and churn it up once in a while to make sure it smells so nice and brings the flies. Yeah.
Yeah, so flies, they like to get everywhere. It's just, they're everywhere, especially if your neighbors have dogs or whatever, or if you have fruit that falls on the ground, and they'll start riding. They'll just get in there. Anyway, so these fly traps, you can get them just about anywhere. They're everywhere. You take them, you fill them up with water. You have to pull the lid up on something like this. Fill it with water, and the stench that comes out of it is just horrible. But you'd be surprised how many flies you catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that saying? Catching flies with honey or something like that?
Catch more flies with honey than you do with.
Oh, yeah, well.
But this is an example of we pruned this guy way back, did not get any crop last year, foliar fed it faithfully, and granted it does need some pruning because it's got crazy stuff going on, but it's going to have, it's probably its first amazing crop in 5 years.
Oh, nice.
So
the difficulty about citrus is that they don't like to be pruned. That's the difficult part about them. But then normally we'll tell you if you have a big established tree. He's got specialty pruning over here, so we're going to throw everything I say out the window. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But the specialty pruning aspect of this, I mean, if it was a regular tree, you'll have. Well, here, come on, take this out. Check this out. See this right here? It's telling you that this wants to be pruned.
yeah.
All right. So he can prune it all the way back to right here, up to this green part. And this has already died. It's telling me, hey, all right, I'm done. Here, same thing with this. He's got another one way back here. How many pruners are you going through? Oh my!
I am. I have 5 or 6 pairs, and I just bought a new pair.
Oh,
because I do sharpen it, but I have blades that they started like this, and they go down to nothing.
Just keep on going down.
Yeah.
Now we're talking 60-year-old gardenias.
Yep.
This is the Gardenia jasminoides. This is the typical one. This can get very big, it can get small. You're keeping this at a really good head. But look at that flower on there. That is hands down just gorgeous on there, like that. And the stench that comes off of this is just intoxicating. Oh, I remember when I used to work at a wholesale nursery. This was about 150 years ago, and my it's pretty funny because what happened was that when you're working at the nursery, you want in the worst way to be put on the other guy's job. So my job for the first 6-8 months was just cutting weeds, and then for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm pulling the weeds out of the containers. And you're looking at the guys watering. You just, I want to go where the watering was, especially around the gardenias, because you'd have an acre of gardenias that are just flowering, and you're just, so wonderful. So after the first day of watering, I told myself, I want to pull weeds. It's hard watering that many plants.
Yeah.
8 hours a day. It's tough.
Let me tell you a secret about this. These guys were not doing well about 6-8 weeks ago. I do, regular compost, regular normal feeding on them, but I sprinkled some bone meal on the ground and watered it in, and they perked right up and started flowering almost immediately within a week.
That quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big transformation. I thought they were actually going to die, and it's like, no, I just need a little bit of food, Dad.
Yeah. And it's all organic here. Now here, why don't you come over here for a second, Serena? And you see, here we have a flower. We call that a spent flower. And what we want to do is when we see something like that, you just want to take and pull it off. Just that simple. And now the plant is not going to spend energy to putting out into this flower because it thinks it's still alive. It's, there's something wrong. I got to.
Yeah.
So.
And now it can put energy into
this one right here.
That guy.
Yeah, look at that. See? That's a pretty one. And then you're going to blink your eyes, and it's going to look like this one, and that's really super cool.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a lawn area over here. That
is that what it's called?
It was a lawn area.
Yeah.
But you put subsurface irrigation in here, right?
We did, and we obviously, I wouldn't call this pruning for this tree. Honestly,
this is more of a hat rack.
Yeah.
And actually, did you know especially for cities, in some cities, it's against the law to do this? Hat racking would probably be a little bit more. No, this is hat racking. Who am I kidding?
But all the grass died, is the true story.
Because of
all the grass
tree.
died because of the shade.
Yeah.
And so we put a layer of compost, we put some humic acid in here, and cut the trees.
So do you think the compost is one of the reasons why you're getting so much? Man, this stuff stinks. That one didn't smell as bad, but this one right here, look at all the flies in there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, and I'll tell you, the compost is really good because my raccoon and possum friends come by here and go dig for the worms.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, watch your step here.
Yes, sir.
But this right here, I remember a place where you could put your lounge chair over there and never see any sun. But you do have some pretty, you've got a pretty interesting story about this tree and how it was being affected by that tree.
Yes.
Let's settle bit.
So the challenge with these trees is they are so mature and so overgrown that the oak tree on the east side and the Cupania / carrot wood on the west side were growing so large that this oak tree could not grow. So you can see that his branches are very spindly, they don't have a lot of growth, and you can see he's got more green on the top. We just pruned this, so he looks a lot better. But he was choked out, and choked out by the pine and that other oak tree. So that's the problem with not maintaining your pruning and trimming, is that somebody's going to get affected by it, and it happens to be this guy. He's okay, but...
Okay, and I understand you've never pruned that one before.
That's correct.
That's a huge tree. For someone to get in there, they couldn't get a bucket back here. They actually climbed the trees.
Oh, yeah. They climbed the trees, they suspended themselves off ropes. Yeah.
Man, oh man.
So the crazy story about that one, Nick, is when I was a kid, 15 years ago or so, that tree wasn't even there.
Oh.
I mean, it was, I'm sure, but it wasn't like that. Because remember, the yard stopped right here.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was all overgrown. So he was obviously there somewhere.
Yeah.
All these guys were, but they weren't when we extended the deck, we built everything around the trees and then encouraged them to grow and create shade and create a whole new environment for it.
Because he's got a hillside down there, and it's just going down.
Yeah.
It's just going down. Okay, so you sent me a video. I want to see the pumpkin.
Yeah. Well, the pumpkin got picked.
The pumpkin got picked.
But he got red.
The tomato is what it was.
Yeah.
He sends me a little video, and then he says, look at this thing, it's the size of a pumpkin.
Yeah, but you've got other ones here that are about the same size.
So these are beefsteak tomatoes.
Aren't they heirloom tomatoes?
They're heirlooms.
Okay.
Beefsteak could be heirloom. But you do have some burning over here. I was trying to pick
Yeah.
that up for that. So I don't know if you could see this or not. But this right here is sunburn on your tomatoes. So you wouldn't think that a tomato would need the sun. But I mean, these leaves are actually very soft. They're not overly huge, and there's a lot of them, but there's not so much to where you would think that it would provide the protection that it has, but it needs the protection.
And that's the mistake I made last weekend as I came in here and pruned because it was getting out of control. And I exposed this larger, more mature fruit thinking it was okay. And it burned it burned this guy. You know, he's gotten burned, that guy. So that guy. So, I mean, I know that we've talked about pruning tomato plants and our affinity for letting things just grow.
Yeah.
And this is actually a good case for it. You do need to, you can see that I tried to stake it up and I didn't stay up with it. I didn't add a larger cage so that I could encourage it. So you've got weird growth that's coming down and turning around, choking out the berry plants. So I tried to cut it back for the sake of the other part of the family in here.
Well, sometimes sacrifices have to be made, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is one that you've been babying too.
Yeah. This is a decorative guava. Yeah.
How come you didn't put a fruiting one in?
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, we don't want to do that.
I've been trying to replace it with a fruiting guava or something, and
You want to stay
Maria
married?
likes it. Yeah, I want to stay married. But we did incorporate. You know, this is one of my favorite things to do. We incorporated cucumbers that we seeded down in the greenhouse.
Oh, okay.
We incorporated those here to add some food to our landscape.
Now, being that you have the raccoons, you got wildlife, you get deers, tigers, and everything else out here, do they hop the fence and come over here and start munching down?
They do sometimes. I try to provide them with food that, I mean, they focus on certain things, so I try to keep them away from other things. I've been pretty successful at maintaining most crops. I do use motion sprinklers. You can see here, I have a motion sprinkler here to protect the cucumbers. So if somebody walks over here at night, you know, a raccoon or a possum or whatever, it's going to spray them and chase them away.
Nice. I have a spray. I think I teased you with it once before.
Yes.
I got to bring it. It's a spray,
Yep.
and it works off of pretty interesting stuff. It works off of fear factors, where you spray the stuff. It's stinky for you and I for the first 6 hours. Then after it goes away, and it's only, it just smells like garlic and putrid eggs, and but it goes away, and boy, it's effective on deer and small critter and all that. So we have some nice raised gardens over here as well, and look at this. I bet this is going in Maria's cooking quite a bit.
Yeah, nice basil.
Absolutely love the basil. Got that. But I want to talk about this tomatillo in the remaining seconds that we have left, because that's been a success story for you.
Yes, indeed.
And look at these roses. Look how pretty these roses are. They're just gorgeous.
And we have strawberries growing in between the roses.
Oh, very good. All right. So I don't know if you noticed, but when you showed to me earlier, I did something that was just second nature. Did you notice what I was doing with them? Yeah. So when I come walking in, these branches were like this. And I don't call it a problem, but I have a deal. I have to take and I have to bring in them within the cage, because you're going to blink your eyes and these things are going to be this long, and you're going to end up breaking them, putting them in. So It's important to do that. So in a couple of seconds, tell us about this.
Sure. We started these tomatillos from seeds and propagated them in the greenhouse. And then I thought, let's move them out. I've had a heck of a time growing tomatillos. This is a tomatillo grande, so it's a little bit bigger fruit. And my wife makes amazing salsa. So I planted these out here. I put a little watering stake in there to keep it moist. And you can see that the one guy is just going crazy, and I'm really excited about the fruit it's going to get. And you see the other two children, they are getting crowded out, so I'm going to need to move them into different pots.
And you've got a little, you got a little afternoon shade on that.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, a lot, man. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Thanks for joining me on another excursion of Things Green. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain so you can become exposed to a green lifestyle inside and outside of the home and community, all on your terms. Join me next time right here as we help you with Things Green.